Today's update is about the February 2026 $2,000 check headlines that many seniors have been seeing and hearing about, and this message is meant to clearly explain what is actually being discussed, what is not confirmed, and how this conversation fits into the broader picture of stimulus payments, Social Security, retirement income, and benefit protections in the United States. This is a direct update meant to cut through confusion and bring calm, clear information to older Americans who rely on steady income and accurate guidance. Over the past several weeks, headlines have been circulating about a possible $2,000 payment connected to February 2026. These headlines have appeared in news summaries, social media discussions, and general conversations among retirees and fixed-income households. For many seniors, the idea of a payment of that size naturally draws attention, especially at a time when everyday costs remain higher than they were just a few years ago. Housing, utilities, food, healthcare, and insurance expenses continue to put pressure on retirement budgets, and any discussion of additional financial support deserves careful explanation. What is important to understand from the beginning is that these headlines are based on discussions, proposals, and policy conversations, not on a single finalized payment program that has already been approved and scheduled. In the United States, financial relief payments do not appear suddenly or quietly. They move through a long process that includes debate, negotiation, budgeting, and formal authorization. When something is still being discussed, it means lawmakers and officials are weighing ideas, reviewing economic data, and considering how different groups, especially seniors, are being affected. Many of the February 2026 headlines are connected to broader economic conversations that began long before this year. Inflation, interest rates, and the long-term stability of retirement programs have been central topics in Washington. As prices rose sharply in previous years, seniors felt the impact immediately. Even when inflation slowed, the higher prices often remained. This gap between fixed retirement income and rising costs is one of the reasons financial relief ideas continue to resurface in public discussions. Another key reason these headlines continue is the structure of Social Security and other federal benefit programs. Social Security cost of living adjustments are designed to help benefits keep pace with inflation, but many seniors know from experience that these adjustments do not always fully cover real-world expenses. Healthcare costs, prescription prices, and insurance premiums often rise faster than average inflation measures. When that happens, retirees feel squeezed, even when their monthly check increases slightly on paper. Because of this reality, policymakers often explore temporary relief measures alongside long-term program adjustments. A one-time payment is sometimes discussed as a way to offer immediate help without permanently changing the structure of benefit programs. This type of payment is easier to debate than a full overhaul of Social Security, but it also comes with limitations and trade-offs that lawmakers must consider carefully. The February 2026 $2,000 discussion is also tied to ongoing budget negotiations. Every year, Congress must decide how federal funds are allocated. This includes defense spending, healthcare programs, infrastructure, debt servicing, and social support systems. When revenues are tight and obligations are large, every proposed payment must be justified, funded, and approved within a larger financial framework. That is why discussions can last months or even years before any final decision is made. For seniors, it is especially important to understand that not every discussion leads to a payment, and not every payment applies to everyone. Past relief programs have often included income limits, benefit type restrictions, or tax considerations. Some payments were aimed broadly at households, while others focused specifically on retirees, disability beneficiaries, or low-income seniors. These distinctions matter because they determine who would qualify if a payment were ever approved. Another reason these headlines are circulating now is the political calendar. As new legislative sessions begin and economic data is reviewed, officials often revisit unresolved proposals from earlier years. Some of these ideas are revised and reintroduced, while others remain in discussion without moving forward. The public conversation can make it seem as though something new has been announced, when in reality it is a continuation of earlier debates. It is also important to understand how language is used in headlines. Words like discussed, considered, or floated do not mean the same thing as approved, authorized, or scheduled. Headlines are often written to attract attention, but the details behind them are where the real meaning lies. Seniors who rely on accurate information should always focus on confirmed actions rather than speculative language. In recent months, federal agencies have continued emphasizing the importance of stability in retirement programs. Social Security, supplemental security income, and disability benefits are designed to provide predictable monthly support. Any additional payment must fit within that framework without causing delays, errors, or confusion in regular benefit delivery. That is one reason officials move cautiously when discussing new payments. The role of the U.S. President in these discussions is primarily one of setting priorities and proposing budgets. While the President can express support for certain relief measures, actual payments require legislative approval. This separation of powers means that even widely discussed ideas can take time to become reality. Seniors should understand that no single statement or speech automatically creates a payment. Another factor shaping these conversations is public concern about long-term program funding. Social Security's trust funds have been under review for years, and policymakers are aware that short-term payments must not weaken long-term sustainability. Any proposal for additional relief is weighed against future obligations to retirees, survivors, and disabled workers. At the same time, officials recognize that today's seniors cannot wait decades for relief when costs are rising now. This tension between immediate support and long-term planning is at the heart of many policy debates. It explains why discussions continue without immediate resolution and why headlines can appear repeatedly without a final outcome. For older Americans, the most practical approach is to focus on confirmed benefits and existing programs while staying informed about discussions without relying on them for financial planning. Regular Social Security payments, Medicare coverage, and supplemental assistance programs remain the foundation of retirement income. Any additional payment, if approved, would be added on top of these, not replace them. Another aspect worth understanding is how past relief programs were handled. During earlier economic crises, payments were issued using existing government systems. While this allowed for faster delivery, it also revealed challenges, including delays, incorrect payments, and confusion over eligibility. Policymakers remember these issues and often take extra time to avoid repeating them. Seniors should also be aware that discussions about relief payments often involve trade-offs. Funding a one-time payment may require budget adjustments elsewhere. Lawmakers debate where that money should come from and how it affects other priorities. These debates can slow progress, but are part of ensuring responsible decision-making. It is also important to recognize the role of public input. Letters, calls, and advocacy from seniors and retiree organizations influence how seriously proposals are considered. When policymakers hear directly from older Americans about rising costs and financial stress, it shapes the conversation. However, influence does not guarantee immediate action. As February 2026 approaches, discussions may evolve, change, or quiet down depending on economic conditions. If inflation eases and costs stabilize, the urgency for a one-time payment may lessen in the eyes of lawmakers. If pressures remain high, discussions could intensify. This uncertainty is another reason seniors should rely on confirmed information rather than assumptions. One consistent message from federal agencies is the importance of protecting personal information. Whenever payment headlines circulate, scams tend to follow. Fraudsters often use the promise of checks to trick seniors into sharing details or paying fees. Legitimate government payments do not require upfront payments or private outreach through unofficial channels. Staying cautious is essential. In the meantime, seniors can take practical steps to strengthen their financial position. Reviewing monthly budgets, checking benefit statements for accuracy, and staying informed through official communications can help reduce stress. Even without new payments, small adjustments and awareness can make a meaningful difference. This discussion about a possible $2,000 payment also highlights a broader truth about retirement in America. Many seniors live carefully, plan responsibly, and still feel financial strain due to factors beyond their control. Rising healthcare costs, housing shortages, and economic shifts affect retirees differently than working adults. Policymakers are increasingly aware of this reality, which is why these discussions continue. As this topic moves forward, clarity will come only through formal announcements and official action. Until then, it is best to treat headlines as indicators of conversation, not guarantees. Understanding the process helps reduce anxiety and allows seniors to focus on what they can control. In the next part of the script, the focus will continue on how these discussions relate specifically to Social Security, retirement income planning, and what seniors should realistically expect as February 2026 approaches, keeping the emphasis on facts, stability, and practical understanding. As February 2026 draws closer, it is important for seniors to remain grounded in confirmed information while understanding that discussions alone do not create payments. Government support programs move slowly by design, and that pace exists to protect long-term stability. While headlines may rise and fall, the most reliable source of financial security for retirees continues to be their regular benefits and careful financial planning based on what is already in place. Social Security, supplemental security income, disability benefits, and Medicare remain the core systems supporting older Americans. These programs are protected by law and continue regardless of political debate. Any additional payment that may come in the future would be separate and would require formal approval before becoming real. Until that happens, seniors should view all payment headlines as informational discussions rather than money that can be counted on. It is also important for seniors to protect themselves during periods of uncertainty. Whenever talk of large check spreads, misinformation and scams increase. Older Americans should rely only on official notices for changes to their benefits and never share personal or financial information based on rumors or unofficial claims. Staying cautious helps ensure that existing benefits remain safe and uninterrupted. At the same time, staying informed has real value. Understanding why these discussions exist helps seniors feel less anxious and more prepared. These conversations reflect ongoing concern about rising costs, retirement security, and the real challenges faced by people living on fixed incomes. Even when proposals do not become payments, they often influence future adjustments and policy decisions. For many seniors, peace of mind comes from focusing on what can be controlled. Keeping personal records updated, reviewing benefit statements, and maintaining realistic monthly budgets are practical steps that matter regardless of future headlines. These actions help create stability even during uncertain times and ensure that current benefits are fully received and properly managed. The discussion around a possible $2,000 payment also serves as a reminder that seniors' voices matter. Policymakers continue to talk about retirement security because older Americans consistently express their needs and concerns. While change may be slow, awareness and advocacy help shape the long-term direction of benefit programs and financial protections. In closing, the February 2026 $2,000 check headlines represent an ongoing conversation, not a confirmed payment. Seniors should remain calm, informed, and focused on confirmed benefits while watching how discussions evolve. By understanding the process, avoiding misinformation, and relying on stable programs already in place, older Americans can move forward with confidence, clarity, and a stronger sense of financial control.